Okay.
From Singapore.
As promised, guys.
And I'm like,
I need to go get this done. I got a little minute before the first set of people should show up. But you guys know I've been talking about for 4 success principles. So far we have not recovered. We have covered R, S, V, P. Now, when I say P is the most important, it separates the men from the boys.
Are you from America?
Women from the children.
No, I'm not.
Absolutely does.
Yeah.
So again, read. What do you read? Books that motivate, inspire your creativity, get you moving in the right direction, get you thinking in the right direction. Because if your thoughts are not in alignment the right way, a lot of this stuff goes out of the window. Most people don't get the success they want because the negative thinking. Garbage in, garbage out. So if you spend a lot of time watching TV, nothing against like the Real Housewives and those kind of shows, but that's not necessarily positive stuff. Yeah, they're doing some positive things every now and again, but that's not enough. You're spinning your wheels in the exact wrong direction, and you're also following a lot of vanity, and that's just all wrong, right? Okay, so read books. I recommend Think and Grow Rich by Robert Kiyosaki. By Napoleon Hill. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Good gosh, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. I just finished one book, The Jewish Money Code to Becoming a Millionaire. Oh, it was super clutch, especially from like a biblical standpoint, because it talks about the Torah versus the Talmud and how the Jewish extract the code, the secret code written in the Bible of wealth, which is why they control, I can think, what, 20% of the billionaires or something like that are Jewish. I mean, it's all kind of stuff in there. But again, read those books, man. A lot of times, if you are reading, especially if you go on Amazon or something like that, you will have the suggestions down there like, oh, people who bought this book also bought A, B, C, and D. Get those books, right? Now, sometimes you'll start to see some common themes. It's like, oh, I just read this in the last book. It seems repetitive. But what you're seeing, guys, if you notice, the principles, the underlying principles are somewhat the same. The stories are different. So what's going to happen on your journey is you're going to be learning these principles, and as you start to apply them, you're going to have your own story, your own journey. So therefore, when you go write a book, again, like let's say if we're talking about the law of attraction, your experience of law of attraction is going to be different than mine, right? So I talk about the things that I attracted in my life, like becoming a financial advisor, the travel and technology, all that kind of stuff. But what I can also do is trace it back to some of my core beliefs. You know, what I call them my 3 universal truths. I love to travel, I love to meet new people, I love to help people out. Any profession I've done that has those characteristics, I never really felt like I worked. So I felt like I was called to do it because that's me to my core. So when you hear somebody say, oh, your steps are ordered, sometimes you can't quite see what that path looks like until you're there. Well, again, you're going to attract a lot of different things along the journey. There's going to be a lot of different challenges for every level there's in the devil. You will start to hear that kind of stuff. But again, when you go through it, the idea is you have to continue to sharpen your awareness and keep putting the right people in there, right? So that's what I mean by reading, okay? Studying is different. Studying is the repetitious act of going through the material to where it gets in you on a cellular level. Because you can read something and forget what you read by the time you get to the end of that chapter. Well, again, that's why I think the Think and Grow Rich book was the first book that I ever heard this say is you never really read a book until you read it at least 3 times, right? And even with Bob Proctor's You Were Born Rich, it is written to be sipped, not devoured, right? So think about it. If you got something that's really, really hot, that beverage, just sip it a little bit. You savor that flavor. You let it get palatable, right? Well, some books you just power through. Like, okay, cool. Got that book. Check. Ooh, next book. But some of these are more manual based, so you really need to stop, study that chapter. What is it really telling you? Do you understand it enough to be able to explain this simply? Do you understand it enough to where you know you can implement it, right? That's what I mean by studying. So going through it, studying people, modeling people, you know, again, who was that person? She was like, yo, their life is dope. And you don't think of it from an envious standpoint. You think of them like, man, this guy has made it. I resonate with their spirit. They're a good person. I would love to be able to achieve that kind of lifestyle so I can give back more and things like that, right? And you hear people say the money isn't everything, right? And then you hear in the same sentence somebody say, yeah, but they just know where to shop. Well, money only makes you more of who you are. So if you are a selfish, egotistical person, you get money, you're going to be the exact same way. So it's not that, you know, money is the root of all evil or even the love of it. It's when you make money your everything, right? and you make money, you're God. Now, it's one thing if you want a lot of money so you can give a lot of it away. It's a whole different ballgame. You know, if you got a lot of money, you can be a really good giver. Now, that is the S. V is the study of visualization. Again, several times a day. Was that somebody just getting off the elevator? Was that the elevator? No?
Yeah.
Elevator? Is that a child?
Yes.
Angelina?
Can you give me a second? Can I call you back?
Okay. So, first person get ready to come in.
Bye.
So let me sit up and finish this. What was that? Visualization. So the idea behind visualizations, you want to spend, you know, maybe 15 minutes or so per day. Really, hey, 15 minutes or so per day, really getting you in the right vibrational state so you can start to attract the stuff that you want. You got to visualize and see yourself with it already in your hand. Long before anything happens on a larger scale, you have saw it happen many times over. And that's why it's not, it's a happy thing that you get it, but it's not like, oh, I don't know how I made that, because you saw it happen so many times, right? So visualization is really, really, really important. It starts to bridge the gap. Now, everything that I've done is, or everything I've mentioned is in practice, right? But the P, perform. Perform is all about action. Think about one of the best movies that you ever watched in your life. What if they had that script? And everything I've given you is kind of like the script. You got to learn that kind of stuff, right? But no director ever said action. The best movie you ever saw came out of action. So when you get to the P part, the performance part, it's all about action. It's not worrying about what's going to happen. The reading, the studying, the visualization prepares you for everything else that's going to happen, right? And the reason why you have to keep reading is because for every level, there's a new devil. There's going to be new obstacles, new challenges, new things you got to grow and get better at, right? But performance is so absolutely crucial. People do everything and they get to the point where it's time to act and they still have fear. You can't have fear and faith in the same sentence, right? If you follow the Bible, faith the size of a mustard seed. That mustard seed might be like tip of this small, right? Really, really, really small. So you either have all faith or all doubt. There's no, oh, kinda, right? And I don't mean this is where you do something crazy like, oh, I'm gonna jump off a mountain or jump off top of a building with no parachute because I have faith in, no. Don't be reckless like that. But again, some things we make more of a mountain than what they are. Like in the country, we say, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Molehill is really small, right? Mountain, it's really huge. So in other words, don't give something so much power that it fears you, it paralyzes you because of the fear. You got to be able to give way to that kind of stuff, right? And again, that's when you just plant your feet firm foundation, say, you know what, this is for me. I'm ready for this. You have to keep telling yourself this stuff. You have to keep saying, I saw this happen. It's already here. I just got to move in the directions. Because if you don't move in the directions, you're never going to get it. Think about your life being like a movie. Okay? Are you the main character? Are you an extra? Are you sitting around living your life looking at everybody else have fun and you're sitting there thinking, man, like, oh, I wish I could do that stuff. Stop wishing everything was easy. Wish it was better. Because trust me, think about the things that you have that's easy in your life and everybody else has it. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Just like when people are getting degrees. A bachelor's degree used to be a thing. Like, oh my good gosh, you got a degree? Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, you don't have a master's? What's the point of even going? And now masters are kind of like, oh, I got my masters, all right, cool. So that goes back to kind of supply and demand. If there's more of abundance of something, sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean as much. That coveted position, that oh, I fought and I earned something doesn't mean as much if it's easy to obtain. That's what starts to separate the boys from the men, the women from the children, whoever, is your ability to act, your ability to stand and say, I'm gonna get it done, hell or high water, because nothing's gonna stand in my way. Okay, and within that, surround yourself. Who's your cast? Who's your supporting people? Who's you the leading person? Who's your support, right? So start building the team around people who you know need to be in place to make your movie that best movie. And then when you do it, somebody else is going to be watching you saying, man, wow, that's the best movie I ever saw, because they watched you act. They saw you go and challenge it, and they wanted it because they saw something in you that invoked something in them. Bye.